The PlayStation 6 has a massive hype problem. As we start looking forward to the next console generation, you might have noticed that almost all the conversation has turned to skepticism rather than actual excitement and anticipation for this new machine. And look, I've owned every single PlayStation home console since the original grey box way back in the 90s, but for the first time ever, I'm just not as hyped for next generation. I'm actually not really hyped at all, and honestly, I don't think many of you are either. The next gen hardware leaks are out there for everyone to see, but the buzz is completely dead. We need to talk about why graphics just don't matter like they used to, why we're all prioritising actual games over raw power, and why Sony and Microsoft are facing a brutal reality check. Grab a coffee and let's get into it. Alright, so let's set the scene. If you're a millennial gamer like me, you will remember what a console launch used to feel like. Do you remember booting up the PS1 for the first time? Or seeing the graphical jump from PS1 to PS2, or seeing the jump to HD on the Xbox 360 and the PS3. Heck, even the jump to 3D going from 2D Super Mario to Super Mario 64 was literally mind-blowing as a kid back then. You'd look at the gaming magazine screenshots and think, there's no way a game actually looks like that. But technology has reached a point where that massive jaw-dropping leap is basically impossible now, it seems. We are hitting the wall of diminishing returns. When we went from PS4 to PS5 or Xbox One to Series X, which I also play quite a bit, it wasn't a revolution, it was just cleaner, faster load times, sharper textures and a slight resolution bump. And now as we look forward to the PS6 and the next Xbox, what are they actually selling us? We're often just looking at highly polished versions of visuals that already look amazing and near photorealistic in some games already on the console sitting under your TV right now. Instead of seeing revolutionary differences, we've been promised slightly better ray tracing and maybe more frames per second or better AI upscaling. And I don't know about you, but I'm not feeling like spending $1,000 or over $1,000 just to see a slightly more accurate puddle reflection. And this comes from someone who does love looking at water in video games, as you will know if you've been here on the channel for a while. Oh my god, look at the water here. It looks so realistic. Like, it's just incredible. Oh my god, a dolphin. That's not a dolphin, it's a whale. Wow. This brings me to the elephant in the room. The price and what we actually value as gamers today. Prices are climbing across the board, we all know this. We are looking down the barrel of a generation that could easily flirt with a 4-figure price tag, which is just mind-boggling. I'm not sure if this PS6 will be a worthwhile fit for my life now, especially at that price. Like, I'm busy, I'm a dad, my gaming habits are entirely different than they were during the PS3 era. My sessions these days are usually like 30 minutes to an hour pockets of time after like a busy day where I've been at work. I pick up my son, sort dinner, walk the dog, work out, and then the house finally settles down later on at night. Honestly, my PlayStation Portal has been an absolute godsend for this. It's the ultimate backlog buster for busy people. If you've not got one, it might be worth checking out. I can chip away at my games while sitting on the sofa without needing to commandeer the main TV. The Switch 2 has also been incredible for this, but that is another whole story we can cover in another video. But all of this makes me think that a PS6 handheld, or even better, a hybrid console could be what I'm after anyways. So when I look at a potential £1,000 or $1,000 PS6, I have to ask, what is this machine going to do for my 30-minute gaming window that the PS5 and the Portal aren't already doing? And it gets worse when you factor in the hardware compromises. We are facing a future where these hyper expensive consoles might drop the disk drive entirely. You guys know me, I'm a massive fan of physical media. I actively collect physical copies of all the big games I want. My library is far from an all-digital utopia. And as well, I use my PlayStation for watching Blu-rays as well. Does anyone else still do that, or is that just me? I don't know. The idea that I'd be expected to pay double the price of a PS5 only to be told I can't play physical games anymore or watch my Blu-rays on it anymore. It's like we're being asked to pay significantly more to get significantly less. Plus, we all know the games are just going to be more expensive if it's a digital-only console as well. And I think the industry at large is starting to realise that gamers are actively rejecting this graphics above all mindset. Player priorities have shifted dramatically. Shigeru Miyamoto, the legend from Nintendo, recently said that players just don't care as much about console specs as they used to, and gameplay is the industry's most valuable asset. Now obviously he would say that as well because the Switch and Switch 2 are typically underpowered versus the other home consoles, but I've always admired that about Nintendo. They've basically built their entire modern philosophy around this exact concept. The original Switch is running on like ancient mobile hardware, yet it dominated because the games are just pure, unadulterated fun. They prove time and time again that you do not need 30 teraflops of processing power to make a masterpiece. And they are now continuing this with the Switch 2. You see this on PC also. Look at the most played games on Steam. You often see it's indie games, pixel art titles, retro-inspired shooters and other types of games. Games like The Sims 4 isn't breaking any graphical boundaries, but it commands millions of players because of the freedom and creativity and fun it offers. Gamers are increasingly willing to put up with dated graphics if the gameplay offers something more memorable. And it's not even just about dated graphics, it's about the art style and the visuals that, the developers are producing. Some games, they could be cel shaded, they're a totally different style, but they look phenomenal. It's not all about hyper realism. Smaller indie games with basic visuals often become massive hits just because they are an absolute blast to play. We want atmosphere, we want storytelling, we want replay value, and we want fun. That's what gaming's meant to be about, remember? Fun. After all, it's a game. Visual technology has a bit of a short shelf life, I'd say, but memorable ideas will just last forever. And as a side note, which may impact the new PlayStation's ability to sell, is Sony's goodwill seems to be at a bit of a low right now with the fan base. Then there's the issue of the exclusive games themselves that usually make you want to buy into a console, or rather the lack of them in recent times. Think back to the PlayStation 3. If any of you were about playing the PlayStation 3 then, you know what I'm talking about. There were enough unique, exclusive experiences on that console to keep you busy for a lifetime. Which, to be honest, was also a symptom of Sony having real competition from the Xbox 360. So they really had to bring their A game, whereas now Xbox isn't really giving them much competition at all, unfortunately. And now as well, the number of true ground up exclusives for current gen consoles has fallen off a cliff. Heck, a lot of the games being remade today for modern consoles are from the PS3 era. Because studios are spending like 5 to 7 years and hundreds of millions of dollars creating these insanely detailed, photorealistic worlds, we are waiting longer than ever between sequels. And they're even spending hundreds of millions making garbage like Concord. Like, where's the money going for this? I just don't understand that. So they're burning money on making live service flop after live service flop as well. Entire console generations are passing by with, only 1 or 2 releases from major franchise studios. I think a lot of us would gladly accept slightly simpler graphics, if we call it that, if it meant we actually got great games more frequently. Like Naughty Dog. They've basically been missing in action this whole generation. There has been 0 new games from them, and I mean new games. I wouldn't count the remasters of The Last of Us and Uncharted in this same kind of bucket. Heck, I think graphics peaked during the PS2 and Dreamcast sort of era, but that's just me, as I love my video games to actually look like video games. Sure, it's cool to see super realistic stuff too, but it's not a must-have in my book. This is why nostalgia is hitting so hard right now. Older games are grabbing the interest of younger players who grew up on, say, the PS4 for example. They're going back to discover the classics because frankly, fun ages better than graphics. When it's an arcade racer or a PS3 era shooter, good gameplay is good gameplay, no matter the resolution. So where does this leave the new PlayStation and the new Xbox? Because they're both kind of in the same boat right now. I'm really curious to see what they actually do to sell these new consoles to us and also to differentiate between each other. So what's going to be the difference between PlayStation and Xbox? That's going to be so interesting to see. If companies say manufacturing costs are the reason for these high prices also, while simultaneously declaring record profits, players are going to see right through it. We are becoming cautious to all of this. If future consoles launch at staggering price points, throwing buzzwords like 8K and advanced ray tracing at us, it isn't going to cut it anymore. Heck, who remembers the PS5 box had 8K on that? I even find myself playing more simple and retro games now as they are just fun. You know, they're simple to pick up and play and they make you feel good. They don't need any of these tech enhancements, you know, to be a great time. Like right now, I'm playing through the first Uncharted game, which is a PS3 era game. And I'm having a blast as I missed playing it back in the day. So the biggest challenge for Sony going forward isn't processing power, even though that is going to cost them a lot more due to the AI boom, the price of RAM and storage. It's convincing us that their new hardware offers an experience and games we simply can't get elsewhere. If they just give us a slightly prettier box for a few £1,000s or dollars, they are completely misreading the room. And I actually think that originally was the plan before the AI RAM apocalypse all really kicked off, because if the PS6 was just an incremental bump and it was say $700, £700, I do think it would sell. Now we're hearing 1,000, 1,200, 1,300. That is getting into your uber enthusiast territory who would just buy anything PlayStation no matter the price. So I don't know how they're going to sell that to a big audience. If they're going to have any chance, we need exclusive, incredible, unique experiences that we can only get on the PS6, only there, as having a massive cross-gen period won't help this either. But I don't see how there won't be a huge cross-gen window with PS5. Like, say a game costs $300 million to make. There is no way they won't ship that game to a huge PlayStation 5 player base and only to a much smaller PlayStation 6 player base. The economics just don't add up for that, and I don't see it happening. I hope I'm wrong. I hope when we actually see the PlayStation 6, it makes us go, wow, I want one, as I just love buying new hardware and stuff like that. But right now, I'm not feeling the magic, which is exactly why a hybrid portable console for the PlayStation 6 might make a whole lot more sense right now. And if you want to know why Sony's next major move has to be a handheld, click the video on screen right now. And my light has died. P.S. if you stayed right to the end and saw my light going off, leave a comment saying, "Let there be light," in the comments, and I'll like and respond to it.